Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Start with Success, Master the First 90 Days in Your New Role, Part 3 of our Personal Development Series. My name is Kelly Blount, and I'm the Program Marketing Specialist here at General Electric Credit Union. We're so glad you've joined us as we have a great discussion planned for you, and we wanted to thank you all for tuning in from the comfort of wherever you're joining us from today. And with that, I'd like to turn things over to today's speaker, GECU's very own Mary Tettenhorst, to introduce herself and take us through today's content.
Great. Thank you so much, Kelly. Hello and welcome to our session. If you have been with us throughout our series, you've heard Jerry Kale speak to the power of building your personal brand to best position you for your next steps in your career. And Marissa Van Branken provides some insight on how to navigate the interview process to ensure that you align with a role that is the best fit for you. As Kelly mentioned, these recordings are available on our website. And in our session today, while you are all here, we're going to build off those discussions and explore some of the tips and tools you can use to get off on the right foot in your new career adventure and master those first 90 days. I am Mary Tettenhorst, and I've had the pleasure of being with the credit union for 2.5 years as our Senior Vice President of Learning and Development. And over the last 20 years, I have been blessed with some amazing opportunities to work in organizations, large and small, global and local, in a variety of human resources and talent development roles. And that work, coupled with my experience teaching and career coaching college students and alumni on their journey, have helped shape some of the dialogue that we are going to have today. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So when first starting this new opportunity, whether it be with a new company, a new role with your current company, or even the first few days in your own little adventure, it can spark a lot of emotions. And so you can think of it as a blank notepad and pen representing this fresh new start to learn and to grow. It can signify the beginning of new relationships and new connections. It can help unlock new opportunities and possibilities in your current role and throughout your career journey, really opening up career choices and paths for you to explore for the future. And for many, it can symbolize hope and optimism about what the possibilities may bring. Today, we're going to position our talk about those first 90 days, as they are often such an influential time for a new adventure, as you are showcasing to your organization and to your manager and your fellow colleagues the behaviors that drive the personal brand and reputation that you want to bring, all while you are also assessing your organization and how you can add value to their mission and to their work underway. However, some of these tips and tools can be really valuable at any stage of your career with any organization, not necessarily limited to those first 90 days. Because as we know, it's never the wrong time to invest in you. And so, with all of those emotions at play, our intent today is to really help you tackle that new challenge with confidence. By preparing for your opportunity with energy, enthusiasm, and intentionality, you can create a winning strategy so that you feel capable, confident, and prepared for your new role. So, our agenda for our brief time together today is to really help you develop a roadmap for success. We will discuss some of the practical and tactical tips that you can leverage to effectively prepare for your new role, build a strong foundation from the get-go, best manage your personal brand and reputation, and even begin thinking about how you're best positioned for growth as you work towards whatever your definition of career success is. And as we all know, any road is going to prevent or really present some distractions along the way. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the few common challenges that you may encounter and how you can navigate those with professionalism and grace for yourself and for others. So let's dive in. Let's begin by talking about a few things that you can do even before stepping foot into your new organization. If you joined us for our last webinar, Marissa Van Vranken shared some great insights on how to effectively prepare for your interview process. And what you'll find here is that some of those same tips will carry over to preparing for your first few days and that exciting new role that you just landed. So, to begin, researching the organization, its culture, its values. Ideally, you've done some of that research through your interview process. And now you can take a look at this new information with a newfound lens because now you have the role. So, how are you going to help promote the work of the organization? And how will you add value to the work that's already underway? And some of that may be laid out in your role description or the job posting that you applied for. So there may have been some time that has passed, maybe since your interview process and saying yes to the offer. So by simply refreshing yourself on the work involved for the role that you signed up for, and really capturing your thoughts on paper regarding any questions you may have, or even ideas or resources that you think, hey, maybe I can bring this to the table. Have they thought about this? So, really, by capturing some of those notes, you know that you're kind of going in, that you're helpful and wanting to prepare for the future. And you know that you're prepared to kick off that great conversation with your new manager. Logistically, responding to just any pre-employment paperwork or request, it can also be really helpful. It's not unusual for organizations to have some paperwork that you need to do beforehand or questions they may have. They may have questions about, any pre-scheduled vacation days or things like that. Just things for that's important for you both to get off on the right foot together. So by ensuring that all of that is accounted for, it can really help alleviate some, unnecessary stress or pressure that may show up on day one. And most organizations, they're going to be reaching out to you. They're going to be calling. They're going to be sending emails with information. Yet, it never hurts just to give your recruiter a call a few days before your start date, just to ensure that they have everything that they need from you and that you are well prepared for day one. So they may share that you need information for, your employment I-9 or ID information or information that'd be helpful as you're navigating benefits questions within those first few days. So having all of that information up front just kind of lets you go into that first few days really prepared. And as we mentioned earlier, this, new role can bring a lot of emotions with it. And some of those can be some pre-employment jitter. So it could be a mixture of excitement and nervousness. So being prepared is key and can really help build confidence for you. So that could look a lot of different ways. It could be everything from picking out your outfits for the first few days, really looking to find something that you feel comfortable in and professional and something that really highlights that first impression that you want to make for others. Just as in preparing for interviews, or at least on site interviews, do a test run of your route to the office so that you can ensure that you know where you need to show up and really kind of time that commute appropriately. And keep in mind that sometimes your location for training or the first few days may actually be different than the location that you work from on a daily basis. So really being able to clarify that and understanding that you know where to go and when to be there, that can just help you be there, get there early, be prepared, and be ready to go. And just as with the interview advice that Marissa shared, don't show up empty handed. Bring a notebook, bring a pen, bring your morning drink of choice, bring your coffee, your hot cocoa, anything that's going to have you walking into that organization feeling comfortable and prepared and just confident and ready to kind of take on the day. And with all of that preparation, our hope is that it makes it easier for you to feel confident and generate a positive mindset. Remember, they hired you for a reason. So celebrate that and be ready to go in and really showcase the value that you're adding to your new organization. So now let's talk about those first few days, weeks, and months. That is a great opportunity to help you set a strong foundation to build an impactful career on. So let's talk a little bit more about some tips to put into place and to have on your radar for those first early days. To start, it's important that you have a good understanding of the work that you're being asked to do. By working with your manager from the beginning, you can engage in meaningful discussion on the expectations of you and your role. And sometimes, depending upon your role, it may be that there are other leaders and other stakeholders that would be really important for you to connect and build a relationship and align on expectations with as well. And your manager will be able to kind of help create that roadmap for you. It's a great opportunity for you to dive back into those thoughts and questions that you had when you reviewed your role description before starting. And these conversations can also provide a forum for you and others to talk about how they can best support you along the journey. So, really be thinking about, is there anything that you can share about yourself that will help promote a more collaborative and supportive relationship as you're going into this new adventure? And by having these conversations, it's an opportunity for you to help build rapport with those that you're working for and working with. In our first session of the webinar series, if you joined us, Jerry Kale spoke to the power of your network and helping to define and build your personal brand. And as you become acclimated to your new organization and your team and your role, you can also be thinking about the network of individuals who are there to help you along your journey. So really start kind of making note of those that you just connect really well with or individuals that you feel like you could learn from. First impressions, as they say, can go a long way. So by introducing yourself to others in a positive and confident way, you're showcasing to others that you are here, you are up for the challenge, and you are ready to add value. And so be mindful of how you're showing up mentally and physically from those first few days in orientation class to the first days in your department as well. And as by being friendly and building those relationships, it also opens the door for you to hear and observe more of maybe some of those unwritten nuances or norms of your organization's culture. So there may be nuances that help influence how people communicate with one another, or just natural rhythms of the work that you do each day, or fun traditions, all kinds of things that just kind of make each individual and each organization a bit unique. So, on an interesting note, personal example for myself, I discovered in one of the organizations that I worked with that it was generally frowned upon to pop popcorn in the break room. And of course, I discovered this after I had popped multiple bags of popcorn over the course of a couple of weeks. Apparently, that was my snack of choice at the time. And I discovered through a well-meaning colleague who happened to be in the break room with me when I was popping my snack. She mentioned, hey, this popcorn smells so great, while at the same time also giving me a heads up that due to some not so great smelling popcorn burns that have happened over the years, that just team members had generally made an agreement that, hey, we all love popcorn, but oftentimes it burns, and let's just refrain from popping popcorn to escape any possible future issues. So it just goes to show there could be a host of these little quirky things that you can just learn about your organization and that you can kind of help navigate as well. Ultimately, as you get acclimated to your new role and organization, it really is important to understand, what does success look like so that you can best work towards that. And by partnering with those around you, they can help you best prioritize your efforts in setting a strong foundation for both those short and long-term goals. And as with anything, the more you ask, the more you learn. So, to give you something tangible to work with on your journey, I've shared with you here just kind of a host of questions that you might find valuable to know the answers to. So, there's questions here about roles and expectations, the team, the company, resources that are available to you. So, I encourage you to kind of take a look at these because during your first 90 days, and really realistically at any point in your career with an organization, asking the right questions can really be crucial to gaining a deep understanding of the organizations, your responsibilities, and the expectations for that role as well. And here are some more questions that you might think about. So questions about how performance is evaluated, about how people communicate with one another, about challenges and opportunities and goals for your team or for the organization that you're working with. And so these can be a really great set of starter questions for you, and then supplement these questions with your own. Really think about those things that you maybe have generated as part of your research on the organization or as you reflected on your role. Questions that you may still have even from the interview process, or just clarifying questions that you have, or anything that maybe you developed as you prepared for your first day as well. Remember, asking questions not only helps you gather valuable information, but also really helps to demonstrate your proactive and engaged attitude, showing that you are committed to understanding your role and to making a positive impact on your new job. So now let's talk about managing your personal brand. In our first session of the series, Jerry Kale spoke to the power of being intentional about creating your own brand. And that same intentionality really should be given to your work and supporting that brand in your new role. So really think about asking yourself, what do I want to be known as? And what am I going to do in order to lead others to that perception of me? So we're going to talk here, and what you see on the screen is just a few things to keep in mind as you're strengthening that brand early in your role. So with any new opportunity, it is natural for you to come in ready to take on the world. We are often eager to showcase our ideas, help problem solve, get work done. After all, that's what they hired us for, right? So those things are all true, with one caveat that I would add. To help make things better, it is important to understand why things are the way they are. And this is where your power of questioning comes into play. So, really being curious enough to ask questions in a professional manner, while also being humble enough to have an open mind and one that's eager to learn from others. As we say a lot here at the credit union, we say seek first to understand, then be understood. And for any of my Ted Lasso fans out there, huge Ted Lasso fan, a quote that I absolutely love that he talks about is being curious, not judgmental. So really being there to have an open mind, to ask questions and to evaluate why things are the way they are. And so then you can start to better formulate ideas that may support the work that's underway. So those ideas that you have, absolutely, they can be hugely valuable, and even more valuable when you show that you've put in the time and effort and work to understand the nature of the work that's being done and the factors that have or could have impact on how it's getting done. So by first being a student, you can then best determine how and when to propose and position any of those ideas that you have that can really help elevate the work of you and your team and the organization as you move ahead. And this shows your interest and your credibility of being a true partner and not just someone that's kind of coming in to so-called fix the work of others. And to continue to bolster your credibility and really highlight your value, you can break down any of those goals that came from those alignment or expectations meetings into reasonable and actionable steps. And therefore, it really helps make it easier for you to manage your time well and to deliver wins, which is what we all want to do as new hires, right? We want to show that, hey, we're here, we're adding value, we're winning. And this can be important as you want to create that positive experience for yourself while also not being overwhelmed with too much too soon. So lastly, a simple yet powerful concept I like to share with those in the workforce is the power of the ideal team player. It's actually based on a book by Patrick Lencioni called The Ideal Team Player. So regardless of title, level, function, or role, we all need to be team players. And I love that he highlights these three critical elements for that. Number one is to show humility. Number two is to demonstrate our drive to learn and grow. And number 3 is to really work well or connect well with others for maximum impact. And so as you define and build and manage your personal brand, whether in the workplace or otherwise, I encourage you to exercise those values, all while putting that unique spin on it with the amazing things that make you, you. So a fun exercise that we facilitate with our new hires here at GECU, it's an opportunity for them to reflect on who they want to be and how they want to show up right from day one of orientation. And in those first few days, we challenge them to think about and to document something called a card to their future self, is kind of how I like to position it. So once they complete their card, they seal them, they pass them along back to me or back to whoever the facilitator is. And in turn, we just simply send them back to them in about a month, 6 weeks or so after they've been on the job. And the exercise is a great way for each team member to intentionally think about how they want to be known and the expectations that they're laying out for themselves on how they will influence that. So it's their card written by them, for them. No one else sees it unless they want them to. They can obviously share it with whomever once they receive it back. And it's a great checkup for themselves on whether they are holding themselves accountable to that personal commitment they made to themselves. This can be an exercise for you to do yourself. So complete your own card, put it away for a time to be, opened later. And it really helps kind of be your own little accountability partner as you're getting off on the right foot in your new role. So now you are getting in, you're getting acclimating, you're getting settled, you're kind of learning the day to day. There's also a lot to be said about planting the seeds for future personal and professional growth as well. The more you adopt that growth mindset, that you and your work can continue to grow by having an open mind, seeking feedback from others, really being intentional about your development. The more you do that, the better you're setting yourself up for success, short term and long term. And with each new career opportunity brings a chance for you to expand your knowledge and your skills and your experience. And, hey, with any new role, there may be some bumps along the way. Sometimes things are harder to pick up than you thought. Sometimes there's some relationships to navigate. Yet, if we really kind of take a look at that with a positive and forward thinking mindset, it really captures that those bumps in the road are really opportunities for you to learn and grow. And it can help you become a stronger person and a stronger professional. And the fun thing is that you don't have to do it alone. One of the tremendous powers of building and nurturing your network and building a reputation as someone who wants to learn is the opportunity to really drive and engage in coaching conversations with others, where you can also take a look at what developmental tools and resources may be available through your organization. And all of that helps you in preparing for your current role and for potential future roles. So by aligning on expectations, having that growth mindset, building partnerships, and really setting good work habits day to day, you can set yourself up for success. So as you are kind of settling in, many organizations you may find have a variety of tools and resources and templates that can kind of help support you along that growth journey. So here's an example template that you might use. Obviously, any new organization that you're connecting with, encourage you, ask questions like, what does that look like? They may have phenomenal tools and resources to be able to share with you. So this is more of a standard boilerplate template where it really invites you to think about what your career might look like, both short term as well as long term. So in this first tool here that I'm going to share with you, it creates an opportunity for you to look at and think about your role and how you can best develop kind of in the now or the short term as you're starting this exciting new journey. And it can also invite you to begin planning for the future so that you can start thinking about how your career might evolve over time as well. So really thinking about what knowledge and skills would be important, How might you build those through developmental activities? And ultimately, who may also support you along the way. So this I share here, you can adapt for your own use. Some people love Word, some people love Excel or PowerPoint. So it can really be a living document that you refer back to regularly. You may adapt it for your own use as well in terms of additional questions that you would like to put in, or even adding years to those timelines instead of just short, mid, and long term as well. So it can help provide a bit of a roadmap for your progress and really help you reevaluate and reconnect with this throughout your career. Because with any new experience, either personally or professionally, we may find that our vision shifts in terms of what we want to accomplish and what our definition of success looks like. So that path to get there may shift a little bit as well. So as you're starting the new role, one thing I would encourage is it is important to first focus on that current role. Really focus on how you can do your best work, what you need to learn, who can support you so that you can deliver at a high level in your current role, and then have that eye on the prize for the future, because you never know. Like, doing great work in that current role could even open up doors for the future that you didn't even know existed. So would certainly help influence some of your conversation and some of the thoughts that you capture here. If we take a look at this next template, simple, powerful tool that can help you prioritize those development efforts and really create a way to track progress. So let's say your role calls for you to deliver presentations to others, yet this isn't a strong suit of yours. So your goal may be to develop your presentation skills so you can deliver content to others in a confident and credible way. So then when you take a look at action steps, you may think of kind of learning in a variety of ways. So it could be an opportunity to take a class on presentation skills. It could be an opportunity to practice those skills and to get feedback and coaching from others. That coaching could be from fellow coworkers, or you may decide to go all in and join a Toastmasters organization where you are more formally getting practice and guidance along the way. You could shadow others, interview others that you feel really rock it at delivering presentations and ask for their tips and even for their coaching in the future. And by having that conversation with your manager and with others, they can help you brainstorm what all of the many action steps that you may take and then prioritize those that they think is going to have the biggest impact. So really, through the collective approach of a number of different ways, you may find the best value. So obviously, timeline is important. Your manager can also help you kind of set realistic timelines for yourself, and can really help you track progress along the way as you are working on meeting that goal as well. So just a few little tips and resources, a few little templates that you may kind of navigate and make your own as you are entering into your first career opportunity within this new organization, or a promotion within an organization, or this exciting new venture that you're doing on your own. So now let's touch base on a few of those challenges that may come up along the way. As with any organization, the so-called water cooler talk or office chatter can be real, and in most cases is pretty harmless. However, getting involved with those conversations can really often create distraction for yourself or for others. And it may not necessarily tie into the reputation that you want to build and create for yourself. So just be aware of that. Stay professional as you interact with others. Have fun, be yourself, and do so in a way that doesn't potentially have a negative impact on others. As we shared earlier, we naturally want to jump in with both feet into this exciting new role. So really be mindful of the hours that you're putting in, both in the workplace and in the hours you may be devoting at home, whether on or off the clock. So it's really important in these first few days and really throughout your career to ensure that you're taking care of yourself, promoting well-being for yourself. So really ensure that you're taking time for yourself, your family, your hobbies, and others so that you can really bring balance to your work and ultimately avoid burnout and stress that is just undue in nature. And lastly, I shared there can be some bumps on the road to success, so you may find things are challenging. After all, you may be entering into a whole new industry or function. You may be navigating new people, exploring new personalities and new relationships. And so this is all a growth opportunity. So just remember, you were hired for a reason. They saw the skills, they saw the potential in you. You add value. So if you find these challenges, I just encourage you, step back, understand what resources are available to you and who can support you along the way as you're navigating that learning. Because sometimes we can start to feel like, oh, am I the right person for this job? Or did I make the right decision? And so let's not let that negative self-talk overtake us, and let's in turn that around to positive self-talk and really having that growth mindset that each and every day is a learning opportunity. And be sure that you are celebrating those milestone successes along the way, just so that you can continue to build confidence in yourself and the value that you're adding. So now, to wrap up our conversation, let's not leave things to chance and just hope for the best. We want to be intentional about showing the value that you bring. Set a standard for yourself and hold yourself accountable for how you want to deliver on that. And as you're working to put your best foot forward, be mindful of how you're showing up to others, your physical appearance, your demeanor, your attitude, your behaviors, your actions, and really how you create relationships with those that you're working with and those that you're serving. And lastly, show how you can deliver every time. So to deliver may look a little bit different from role to role or even day to day, depending upon what's being asked of you. So it could be delivering a quality product, providing a quality service. It could be leading or coaching others to success. Whatever that is, by doing so, you can establish the significant role that you play while also helping others feel significant at the same time. And when you do that, you become known as someone who others want to work with. Now, today we had just a few moments for us to kind of capture and share what we hope are some practical and tactical takeaways and some really good ideas for you to step into that new role with a positive growth mindset. So hopefully you've taken away a few gold nuggets of information to help you master those first few days, weeks, and months on the job. For more information, we've also curated a list of articles here that kind of dive deeper into several of the concepts that we've talked about. So we certainly encourage you to check these out, and the hyperlinks to those are available in the PDF download from the presentation as well. Now, to close with one of my favorite quotes, a new job is like a blank book, and you are the author. So, what an exciting opportunity for you to take ownership of your story, the story that you want to create. So, as we part, we want to wish you the best as you travel along your career journey. Best of luck to you. So thank you so much for joining us today. And Kelly, I will pass it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Mary, for helping us to understand how we can work to make an impact in our first 90 days. So we are going to go ahead and open it up for the Q&A portion of today's webinar. So if you have a question you would like to ask our expert, Mary, today, go ahead and submit that using your questions feature, and we will ask it in the time we have remaining. And I know we had a couple pre-submitted questions as well, so we'll go ahead and start with those, and depending how long it goes, we may end a few minutes early, but otherwise we'll go ahead and jump in. Our first question is asking, how can I calm my nerves prior to the first day?
Yeah, definitely. It can be nerve-wracking, right? And one of the things that we talked about, in terms of managing those pre-employment jitters, I think one is sometimes is taking an opportunity to celebrate and reward ourselves for even landing that first new job. So whatever it is that speaks to you, a hobby, something that you can do that just kind of relaxes you. If you like to fish, go fish. If you like massages, go get a massage. Just something to reward and treat yourself. those first few days before you start that new role. And then again, preparation is key. Oftentimes the nervousness comes from things that we feel like we don't know or we're not confident. So preparation is key. Get yourself ready. If you don't have an outfit you like, go buy a new outfit that just makes you feel good, so that when you're showing up, you're feeling like your best self.
Thank you. Our next question is asking, what are the best questions to ask on my first day of work?
Yeah, so several questions were shared in the presentation itself. Again, you're not necessarily going to come out and just kind of do lightning round with your manager on those first few days, and depending upon your experience, you might actually not see your manager on those first few days. Some organizations have orientation courses that they have designed, so you're really connecting more so with human resources or the learning and development team or other subject matter experts that you're connecting with. So maybe kind of extrapolating that to not just the first day, but just good questions to ask of your manager. A lot of that goes back to, hey, I am super excited about being here. I want to make sure that I'm putting my best foot forward and that I'm delivering in the best way possible. So would really love to kind of better understand, what are your expectations for me in this role? What are some of the things that you think are going to define success for me? It could also be just work styles. So, how often are we going to meet? Are we going to have regular one-on-one conversations? Are there team meetings or other meetings that I might be aware of, to just kind of go ahead and start to organize my calendar, organize my day, and to be able to prepare for that. So really, in those first few days, it's about you building rapport specifically with that new manager and your other team members. So just kind of relax and get to know them, and just open up the question of, like, what can I do for you? How can I best serve you? And leverage that as an opportunity to listen and take notes, so that you can then kind of circle back around with, hey, here's what I heard, and here's where I think I can add some value and some ideas to that. So those first few days, just come in, be a sponge, soak up any information you can take about the organization or the team, and then ask questions to get to know others and build those relationships, because those relationships are going to be really important and be there to support you throughout your time there.
And then it looks like this might be our last question. It's asking, how do I prioritize or think about my work in a new role?
Yeah, your manager is going to be central to that. When we come into a new role, there's going to be just a lot to learn. And sometimes we're very eager to jump in and deliver on something, and it may or may not be appropriate, or the right time for you to be able to do that. So really being able to sit down and, talk with your manager about, what's a game plan for me? Have you found that there are things that others have done that have worked really well for them? Uh, so you can come in with ideas. That is great. Here's ideas that I took away from the interview process or from any conversations that you had early on. And just kind of share, hey, I've got lots of thoughts on things that I want to do in my first 30, 60, or 90 days. And I really want to understand from you, what are your expectations from that time? And that dialogue is going to be critical to the prioritization efforts, because if you start to jump into things too soon, you may not actually make the impact that you want. Um, and so by understanding what the expectations are, you can best kind of organize your workday, organize your time, and organize your approach to tackling some of those challenges or expectations early on.
All right, and that was our last question. So with that, that concludes today's webinar. Thank you all so much for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.